Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
All right, excellent, Rifters. What's going on? Keith Reza with my trusty colleague, sidekick, best pal, red glasses, Alan Lee.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, especially the red glasses part. I want everyone to visualize that.
Yeah, you wore the red glasses 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and I wore them at Sheena Metal's party at the Improv. You know,
I wasn't there, but you went to Sheena Metal's
anniversary party
at the world famous Hollywood Improv.
At the world famous Hollywood Improv, she was there, of course. She had a wonderful show. Talked about how she got started in radio, and it was fabulous. You know me, I love those events. You know me. Yeah. You were at somewhere working and probably doing some comedy somewhere.
Yeah, I went to I had work at the day job. And then I was on my way to go, and then I saw an open mic thing, and you know me, when I see comedy, I just got to do it. So I did an open mic.
Oh, wow.
And I got to tell you, because I'm trying to do a clean set, because I got rejected by this comedy club. So I tried to do a clean set at a bar, and it did not work.
Oh. The clean set or the dirty set?
No,
or the blue set,
a clean set.
It was a little bit hard to do.
At a bar.
Yeah. Well...
Like they because I think people's attention spans at bars are just too like they you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll never forget.
It's hard doing knock jokes at a bar. That's what I'm saying.
Who's there?
What?
No, who's there?
No. I was just telling you a knock joke.
Oh, I thought you wanted to do one now.
Oh, I don't know. You know knock joke?
I can come up with one.
Okay, so you say knock.
Knock.
Who's there? Wait, no. I say knock.
Who's there?
Okay, wait, do I say or do you?
It doesn't matter. Whoever starts it.
Okay, you start.
Knock.
Who's there?
Our next guest is not here yet. Sorry, that's the only improv I can come with. Anyway, I remember when you ran a room. Was it Huntington Beach? You ran 2 rooms, actually, but you ran Centerfields, which is a sports bar. And you remember how hard that was, and it was challenging, and you got up there, and you know, like you said, it's like you just said about what happened to you.
Oh, yeah.
And you handled it well.
Yeah, but back then I was a lot more newer to comedy, so I didn't really understand bar crowds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after you do it for a while, you would think they're not going to like clean jokes, but I still did it because I got practice it, so I could send the set to the club and be like, "Hey,
look how clean I am.
Look how clean I am." You know?
But what I was trying to say is that at Centerfields they liked you. I always liked you there, and I went up. You put me up a number of times there.
Yeah,
and I learned a lot from that experience.
They do comedy night at Centerfield now too.
You don't go there? Because you were running the room. So
yeah, and I don't like running rooms because it's like I just want to make people laugh, and then like if I'm running rooms, I have to deal with comics, and then they're like, why isn't there a crowd? And it's like because my family.
Well, why didn't you put me up first or second or third?
And I was like, well, I would, but you don't have red glasses like Alan.
That's correct. That's right. And many times you said Alan's going up tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and you put me up first, which is that the weakest? Going up first, that's like the weakest spot.
Traditionally?
Yeah. I thought it was...
traditionally the host is the weakest spot.
Yeah.
But at a bar, I don't think it really matters.
It doesn't matter. But you let me host.
Yeah,
I never forgot that.
Hosting, I think, at a bar is a lot stronger than hosting at a comedy club.
Thank you.
Because hosting at a bar, if you think about it, you have to be a headliner.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Because, you know what, let's just talk to our guest about this. This is an excellent question.
I think that...
because he's...
Mr. Shydner...
Yeah, he'll know way more than me.
Would you please ask him that?
Well, we got to give him an introduction.
Yes.
But these opening remarks are taking forever because I'm in love with these red glasses of yours.
I know, they're dazzling, aren't they? Our guest in the next show will love them, too.
Next time I wear the blue glasses. All right, guys. Blue material, get it?
Oh, I love that.
All right. Well, guys, before we're phoning in our next guest, our guest, you guys have seen him in Married with Children, The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He wrote a book called Kicking Through the Ashes by Ritch Shydner. and he's the star of a documentary called I Am a Comic with Ritch Shydner. And I'm willing to bet our guest is Ritch Shydner.
You know, it's a wild guess, but it's Ritch Shydner.
Shydner?
You said it right. Shydner with a D, N-E-R.
Yeah, that's what I thought I said right.
No, you did beautifully.
All right, this is going to be fun. We're calling him now. Just entertain the folks. Tell them about your day.
It was a great party at the Improv. And Sheena, who I just spoke to, told us all about how she got started in radio. Sheena Metal here, and it's a great show she has. It's topical. She has all guests from all over the place, knows everybody. That's Sheena Metal here at LA Talk Radio, in our internet radio empire here in Sherman Oaks, California. And she found herself in radio first as an actress, which she is, a good actress, a writer. And like me, she fell in love with the microphone. Anyway, buy a microphone at any place, even if Big Lots for that matter, 99-cent store. Get yourself a little amp, put it in your room, and at night just go crazy on the microphone. You'll have your own little show before you go to sleep, and you'll be happy.
That sounds like an excellent story.
Right? Yeah,
I can't wait to listen to it. But here it comes with Ritch.
All right.
Hey,
Ritch, how's it going?
Hey, Ritch.
Hey,
man. Cool. Technology, huh?
Yeah. I think I should probably just go in my car. I'm out in the street here at Mill Valley.
Oh.
I'll probably just sit in my car.
Beautiful.
You're performing at that theater tonight, huh?
Yeah, I'm right out front, right near it. But there are a lot of people out over there, and I don't have to go find my way in. I can just sit here and do the interview here.
That's fantastic. Wow.
Well, I appreciate you doing the interview. That means a lot.
Sure, man. Sure.
He's got things to do.
We were trying to call you. We were trying to call you on the Skype, but for some reason it wasn't working.
Yeah, I wasn't getting it. You know, I had my thing on, but see, that wasn't ringing. My phone wasn't ringing. Your Skype text wasn't ringing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't like Skype anyway.
Yeah, no.
It's all about the FaceTime. You ever do the FaceTime?
Yeah, of course.
So, Ritch, first of all, I just want to say, thank you so much for doing the show. We tried to get you last year, but it just didn't work out with whatever. But
He's a busy man.
I really love your comedy, but I don't think we've ever met. I know we talk on Facebook and stuff, but have we ever met?
I don't know if I have or not. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so... That's the thing about Facebook is like you could all connect, but it's like everyone's like, oh yeah, you should get Ritch Shydner, and I was like, yeah, I love Ritch, but I've never met Ritch.
Well, you're meeting him now.
I've done a lot of shows. I haven't met the people beforehand. That's quite all right.
Yeah. Are you a name person or are you a face person?
Face.
Yeah, me too. I'm a face
visual,
person.
visceral.
So.
Yeah.
So we like to call. We like to listen to little other interviews that you've done, so we don't ask you the same questions.
Same questions he's already had.
You think that's smart, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Watch the first question be the one.
I like how you said. I like how you go. We don't like to answer the same question, and here's your partner. He goes, same question. You know, like that. Like you guys are saying the same thing as you say. I don't like to ask the same question.
But I was listening to the Johnny Carson podcast,
very good,
and that was a great interview. But did you think it was like a little weird that the guy knew the exact dates and all the other guesses you did the show with? Like I was like, holy Lord.
Yeah, he looked up. He knew a bunch of them. He didn't know them all, but he knew a bunch of them. Yeah, I thought that was very wow, man. That was some good research there.
Yeah, I was just like, I was just thinking my whole time, like, if I was ever on that show and I did Carson and someone was interviewing me and they'd send these dates, I was like, I did it on that date?
Your third grade.
Yeah, I know. Some of them, only a couple I remember. I don't know the exact dates, but just kind of the year. But that's all. I don't know it.
Yeah, I was like, because on my calendar it said I had a dental appointment.
Well,
let me get that calendar out for you. Let me get that 1986 calendar. I got it in my box over here right on my desk.
Well, without mentioning any other podcast, Ritch, we found it very funny that one gentleman asked you, he said, I used to go to comedy a lot. I went to different clubs, and I think I saw you somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And you just said it, and you handled it very well. You nodded and said, "That's possible." You must have seen me somewhere.
Alan doesn't.
He kept a straight face, and I laughed my ass off because the guy just went crazy. Like, oh yeah, I know I've seen you because we used to go out. And he said, "What the fuck,"
When we were watching that, I loved your facial expressions.
You do comedy? Is it possible I saw you do comedy?
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's possible. That's why we're talking right now, isn't it?
Alan doesn't like to mention names, because he's like one of those safe
I love
guys.
making name dropping.
Yeah,
I'll call my mother tonight about this.
Yeah, but you should tell him what show that was so the folks can see how funny Rich's expressions were.
No, I'm not going to mention another podcast.
Oh.
No, I'm not going to do that. That's not a name anyway.
Ouch.
Yeah,
those are fighting words, eh, Rich?
Look, he said his mother. I get a lot of people going, "Hey, my grandparents really like you. They saw you back in the day." I stick in for 2 more years. It'll be, "Hey, my great grandparents saw you back in the day."
No.
They're big fans. Yeah, my great grandparents. They were in high school. They were fans of yours.
Have you ever had someone say that to you? Like that's just gotta be awkward.
No, not great grandparents. Grandparents, yeah, but I know it's coming. I get the parents. I still get the parents. That's all right.
That's right.
People are getting older and older. The ones who are saying it. Hey, you got gray hair, and then you say your parents saw me back in the day. Oh boy. Okay.
But you know what's weird, because like I've been doing comedy for a while, but not as long as you. But all the comic heroes that I talk to that are like my mentors and in the business as long as you, their heroes are Johnny Carson. But I never watched Johnny Carson, so my hero was Arsenio Hall.
Well, I did Arsenio too.
He did.
Oh, did you?
Yes, he did.
Oh my God! But do you think...
I did a couple Arsenio. Yeah. You had to get permission. I was doing Johnny at the time too, and they just said, "Look, you did it right by asking." And they would just not. You do like a 3-month. Wouldn't be 3 months before you or after you did Tonight Show. That's all.
Oh, there's a waiting period.
Yeah. Well, I kind of.
Yeah. So if you did Arsenio, then you couldn't do a Tonight Show for 3 months. Wow. After, if you just did a Tonight Show, you have to wait 3 months before you did Arsenio. Yeah. They didn't want it too close. That's all. I don't know why.
I don't know what they do to artists. There's just all these things they do to us.
Yeah. But the point I was making was like, so I grew up watching the Arsenio Hall show, not the Johnny Carson show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, I get you, man. No, look, oddly, and in my recollection, the history of it, he took down. He's the one really that took Johnny down, and nobody saw it coming.
Yes, sir.
I did kind of see it coming in a weird way. I didn't realize it at the time, but I saw. Do you remember the group, the Smiths, with Morrissey?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, so I had a deal at NBC, so I was over talking to the person who was handling the script for my pilot for TV sitcom, and I had a meeting with him over there, and the Jim McCauley was the town coordinator, and I went by his office to say hello to him at the NBC studios, and he said, "Hey, Cosby's on tonight." And I know just saying Cosby is like, you can't even say his name anymore. I get it, but at the time, this was a different version of Cosby you knew. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, Cosby's on the show. Yeah, why don't you stick around? You can see Cosby, meet Cosby backstage." And I said, "Oh, fantastic. I'd love that." So I stuck around for the show, and the Smiths were booked. Now, they forced Johnny because they were trying to get him hipper, trying to his demographic. He was older, and they're like trying to force acts on him that he had no idea who the Smiths were. And he came out, and the place was packed with Smith fans. They weren't Johnny Carson fans. They got there early, got all the seats and tickets, and he came out, and his monologue died. I mean, he couldn't find footing. Wow. They would laugh at him at certain points. They'd laugh at punchline. They were just messing with him, man. And he couldn't find his footing, and he got completely unnerved. I'd never seen Johnny. It was like you saw the cracks on the wall.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and afterwards it was like, I was going to meet. He says, "Get out of here, Johnny. You got to get out. Everybody, get out of here. Don't come backstage. You don't want to go backstage."
Wow,
she was furious. And so Arsenio was the guy who eventually, forced their hand to bring in Leno early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because Arsenio was all exposed that huge generation gap. Like he got he had huge ratings of young people.
That's right.
Yeah. And then he went off the air, and then he came back, like 3 years ago, and he didn't have that much power.
Well, yeah, that's you can't. You can't.
Thanks
that's
to
trying
YouTube.
to get like magic back. That's lightning in a bottle, and you can't get it back.
That's right.
It's I have a question because it says on your IMDb that you're in a movie called There Goes the Neighborhood, and
yeah, I did.
That's one of my favorite movies. No one's ever no one's ever heard of it, but it has Jeff Daniels, and he's like trying to dig up money. Did you ever? Yeah. Did you meet Jeff Daniels?
Yeah, I did. He was, it's funny. I mean, I met him so briefly because he was spending all his free time. He was like writing a script or a play or something.
Yeah.
He told me he'd come out of the trailer, do a scene, to go right back in, and he was. This is way back then. I don't know if it was a computer or one of those early word processors he was using. He showed me what he was using. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like, compared to today, it was like showing somebody a musket. But he was writing. He was writing. Spent all the time he was writing. And I had like one scene where I played a prison guard, I think, or something, and I had a gun. Yeah. And I laughed maniacally, and the director loved it. He said, "I love that laugh. That's great."
That's great.
That's all I remember. That's all I remember.
I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but I remember growing up. It was one of my favorite ones. And so, but
yeah, I did small roles in big movies, and then eventually moved to smaller roles in smaller movies, and then smaller roles in no movies. So
yeah,
my career.
But you know what? Like, because I do comedy, and like when I started doing comedy, I did it to be an actor. But then the more I fell in love.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but the more I fell in love with comedy, I kind of fell out of love with acting. Does that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I never. All I learned about acting was I was not very good at it. I never got in the moment and acting the way I did in stand-up. Yeah, when stand-up I was up there, I was just in the moment and felt free and just not self-conscious. The opposite of, I was free. I was not self-conscious at all. But acting, I would be thinking, when's my line? Where are you in your line? Oh, my hand's moving. Why is my hand moving? Where's my hand going? I didn't know. I was too self-conscious. Never enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's amazing how like acting makes people self-conscious, but yet on stand-up comedy, there's a self-conscious, but you don't care because you're letting it out to audiences.
Yeah, I think really great actors, it's the opposite. I mean, I know I talk to actors, friends of mine who are really good actors, and they completely get lost in it. They're in the moment. They get that. Yeah.
So, Rich, I have a question as a comedian. Do you like the term comic, or do you think that's kind of insulting?
Oh, I like the term.
Do you like the term?
I like the term. And I think it's always, I wrote this in my book, I think it's usually the people who have that different angle. There's great writers, there's brilliant writers that nobody's gone to where they're going. It's not the performers. We respect the great performers. You respect the great performers, but you don't love them the way, this is for me, for comics that I know. Yeah. That we love the comics who go to places on stage, in the writing aspect that other comics haven't found yet or gone or dared to go. Yeah. And those are the comics comic, yeah.
There you go.
Well, the reason I asked that question is because I'm a comic, you're a comic, and I look at you as a great comic, and I didn't want to insult you with that term if you found it insulting. So I have Asperger's.
No, I don't find it insulting. No, the trap for people who, when they realize they are comic, the trap for comics is to play the back of the room. The comics in the back of the room, and it's like playing to the band. It can be a trap. I've seen comics sort of sacrifice their career, like they just forget about entertaining the audience. They just want to entertain whatever comics are in the back of the room. And it can be a little bit of a trap.
Interesting. Well, it's very interesting. I've never heard it put that way.
I wish you were in the studio today because Alan's wearing red glasses. You ever see red glasses on somebody?
I'm sure he has.
Not on a guy.
Well, I'm pushing the envelope, Rich.
I mean, it's a bold choice, yeah.
Thank you. And that my mom will hear that.
It's outgoing, right?
You mean you have frames that are big frames with red glasses?
Red. I don't.
Yeah.
Is that from the Charles Nelson Riley collection?
You know what? Thank you, because
there's an old reference for you, huh?
Great reference. Yes, that's right. He had the glasses, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, there's big glasses, big frames. Yeah.
There you go.
Now, Rich, I have a question, and you were a writer for Roseanne, and Roseanne.
Yeah.
I think Roseanne is the funniest female ever, but she's labeled as crazy or difficult to work with. Do you think working with those type of people makes you stronger as a comedy writer and a comic on stage because you've learned so much from?
I don't know. I think those producers who worked with her and it probably didn't make them some way stronger, but some people go like life's too short kind of attitude. I'm not really sure where the line is there. There's big money involved. So some people go, well, life will be a lot longer if I stay here and work and make this kind of money. So the life too short thing didn't apply to that. I don't know. She's brilliant, and she knew what she wanted. I mean, I think it was proven right with that series. They focused on her, and when she took over the thing, they were drifting away from what she thought the show should be. And initially, I think she was proven right, but then she went off the rails a little bit at the end. I don't know what to say. I mean, I agree with it. She's hilarious. First time I saw her, I thought, wow, man, this is hilarious comedy. She's brilliant.
She's great.
And those kind of lines. If the kids are alive when the husband comes home, I think I've done my job. That is,
that's a great line.
That was so different.
Yeah.
That's what she was. She was different at the time. She was that working class feminist. It was a hybrid that nobody'd seen before.
I like that. I like that. Working class feminist. That's a good one.
There was no academic in the ivory towers theories. She was living it, man.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked is because you were a huge comedy headliner star, and then you're working with Roseanne, the funniest female, and it's kind of like when you're doing riding a motorcycle and you jump over fire from the greatest, like Evel Knievel or something. Wow. And then you see someone who's just as great doing it, you learn their tricks and stuff.
It's quite a visual. I hope Rich can process that. I'm processing it with my glasses.
I'm still working on the jumping over the fire to murder as it applies to comedy. I'm still working on that.
There you go.
we're in the process of changing the name of the show to Imagination with Keith Reza.
Wow, that's I can't wait for that. Quite frankly,
stretch the metaphor with Keith Reza.
There you go.
But so you see comics.
Was there a question there? Or you just want to get that metaphor? Was there a question?
I think it was just a metaphor.
No.
Listen, some of these aren't questions, but I have a couple of things I want to get in and pose some questions. Otherwise, it looks like I'm showing off.
Oh my God.
No. The question was because you worked with her, so she gave you some of that. So funniest female.
I had my own. I met Roseanne. I didn't need a. I had my own, but I think we were kindred souls in the terms of we recognized each other's. I definitely enjoyed being around her. She's interesting. She's funny and she's brilliant and interesting, and I enjoyed being around her. Sometimes we're tough, sometimes we're. In terms of work environment, when I had to adjust myself to going in and being, I went there. I didn't work directly for Roseanne. I was in the writers' room, and there were a lot of producers ahead of me. I was like this guy they just brought in, and I was just beating jokes, so to speak. They said beat jokes, which means we need another joke here, another joke there, come up with something different. And you'd come up with ideas, and they'd say no, yes, go back, here's another joke, try this one. No, yes, here's another one. And I was just in a factory line.
Yeah.
So going from being stand-up, where you control every aspect, the performance, the directing of the performance, the editing of the performance, the writing, when you control everything, and then you go to where I would just toss jokes out and they'd bat them down until they took one. It's quite an adjustment for your ego.
Yeah. Now, when they batted your jokes down, were you just like, you know what I mean?
No, I didn't get made up because I saw guys did. Some guys did. They go, I know it's funny, but I didn't know. And I knew I got it early on. Learned quickly. Bob Nickman was a good friend of mine, a writer. He was there already writing, and he, he said, look, you just offer them up and move on. Don't get attached to them. There were probably a couple times I first went, I thought, well, that was funny, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But it's not my decision, and that's what I'm saying. I was an employee. I went from being like the sole owner and proprietor of Ritch Shydner Stand Up Incorporated to like an employee on the Roseanne show. The show's Roseanne. It wasn't Ritch Shydner.
Yeah.
So go offer up the jokes the way, and then when they ask you to come up with an idea for a show, come up with ideas for a show. I once heard this guy say, this old veteran writer, he said, I come here, I'm paid to talk from 10 o'clock till they tell me to go home, and then I stop talking and go home.
Oh.
You know, so you're there to come up with ideas and offer them up, and then other people make the choices until you get to the position where you're the guy or woman making the choices.
Yeah. And then when you go home, you know, and your wife's like, "Hi, honey, how was your day?" You just say, "Urgh," you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Look, I'm not saying it was an easy transition. I'm telling you that's what it was, but I'm not saying it went easy. I had a rough time.
Sure.
I got depressed. I got freaking depressed at first, man.
Yeah.
Really.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I know about depression. I have depression, and I get really depressed about my career because, like, as a comic, there's phases where you get booked a lot, and then there's phases where you don't get booked at all. Then you get back.
Yeah.
And I'm on that phase where I'm not getting booked at all, and I'm like, you know.
Oh yeah. And you know, look, I get it. You know, I had 5 TV pilots that didn't go, and the last one didn't go, and that's how I ended up writing for Roseanne, because I had a kid, and I was like, wow, I'm going to go back out in the road. I got heckled by Sean Penn at this club, and made me realize I'm going to be out here just, you know, doing stand-up out in these nightclubs. I got a kid. I'm going to miss her growing up, and I just said I got to do something different.
Yeah.
So I went and tried to get a job, and I got a job writing for Roseanne, so I could get off the road.
You also wrote for, which is one of my favorite series, and not a lot of people have heard of it, and I don't know why, because I thought it was hilarious, but it was called The Mind of the Married Man.
Yeah. My buddy Mike Binder was the creator and the star of it, and he brought me on, and that was a great 2-year ride. I mean, Mike is incredibly talented. You know, he's written so many things and directed movies, and we had a good idea. I think it was a great, you know, show about the voice of a married man. But again, you know, it's funny how these things, they're like, you know, we just didn't. I didn't think we did enough chance to really do it, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Well, it was a really fun.
You know what my theory about that show, why it didn't work? Because I think that the premise and the jokes were great, and this is just from a comic, because like I grew up watching that show. But I think the actors just didn't have any all-star charisma to prove to HBO. Like Mike Binder's hilarious, funniest guy. Yeah. Jake Weber, who's my favorite actor, but no one knows. Terrific. Yeah, no one knows who Jake Weber is. You know? Yeah, no, you're right. We there were a couple different factors I think involved in it, but I think you're right. Emmett Walsh, they're like, who's that?
It's just, you know, who knows, man? Something's just, it could be a timing thing too. You know, it's just not a time for, like, you know, a lot of wives didn't want to hear what the guys were thinking. Tell you the truth.
And it's funny that
what you guys are thinking. You know,
but
I don't know. You know, Sex in the City was like they want to hear what women are thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting.
I was going to say, I think that Sex in the City and Desperate Housewives kind of like stole the Mind of the Married Men and reversed it.
Yeah, they went for the women.
Yeah, but women love to hear that. But it's like guys. It's like it's funny. It's like guys are stars of action movies and women are stars of things about thoughts and feelings, I guess. I don't know.
I think there's a lot there to that.
That's changing, but maybe that's what it was then. But I think it's changed, obviously.
Has that changed your comedy style? Because your HBO One Night Stand, it was such style on relationships. Has it changed your style? How, like, okay, everyone's either married or not in a relationship.
No, I still do jokes about relationships. Obviously, you know, I am who I am. I can't become something different, and it's different. I mean, it is different. I mean, you talk to my daughter and her generation, they'll ask, you know, we used to ask people like, you know, hey, you know, what sign are you or something? They'll just go, how do you identify? They'll be like, how do you identify sexually? They'll be like, that's wide open. That was a given back then, you know. You're gay, straight. We didn't even know transgender. That was even on the table. Now they're like, how do you identify? That's completely open. So there's a whole different generation of relationships. But I think when you get down to the core underneath, I don't know how much has really changed. You know, I don't know yet. I still do these jokes and they work, and I don't know. But sometimes people get, like, again, politically correct or whatever you want to say. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I think sometimes I blame it on the fact that people, you know, it started with Burger King way back in the 70s, and they said, have it your way. Before that, you wanted a burger. At McDonald's, you got the burger, You don't want the pickles on it, you take the bun off, throw the pickles off. You don't want the special sauce, you take a napkin, wipe it off. This is the way you got a McDonald's burger.
Yeah, and the hardest thing you had to do was ask for a napkin.
Stuff. Now it's down to like ordering coffee by, half calf, decaf, foam, not foam, but you know what I mean? And so people expect, they think the show's all about them. They come to a comedy show, they don't identify as a crowd anymore.
No, you're catering to every individual.
So something happens, they don't go, you know what, after the show, everybody else left but me. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's just me. After the show, I'll talk to the comic about it. They just scream out right then, hey, I didn't like that. Because the show's about them.
Yeah, no, it's so narcissistic and so self-centered, the society.
Yeah, and social media reinforces it.
Oh, please.
Everything in society reinforces it. You know, when I grew up, and maybe you guys grew up the same way, you know how you learn how to be a crowd? When you watch TV as a family. Mm-hmm. 6 of us sat around, watched one TV. Mm-hmm. So, right?
Yeah.
If the show was on, you shut your mouth till commercials. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, you respected everybody else is watching the TV. Yeah. Now everybody watches TV by themselves.
Yeah, they're off in a room.
They're watching on their iPad, they're watching another TV. There's 5 TVs in a house. There's 14 iPads. Nobody's watching TV together. So there's you're never trained to be part of a crowd.
That's actually, I didn't even think about that. That's totally true, because now everyone does watch different TVs in different houses. And when I was growing up,
so they think every experience is about them. So when they come, they don't identify as being part of a crowd. Like, you know what, everybody else left but me. Maybe it's me. I'll just wait and I'll talk to the comic afterwards because it kind of offended me or it kind of took me back.
Yeah.
But everybody else laughed. They don't care that everybody else laughed. They just go, that offended me. This show's about for me. This show's me.
Yeah.
This show's for me.
Yeah. Rich, I have a routine, and people are familiar with it, where it addresses that. And I say, I'm out there dating, and I've given up. I just date myself. I'm dating myself. See, he liked it.
Yeah.
He chuckled. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm addressing that idea in the routine. You know, I date myself. I love it. I can always please myself.
Well,
typical guy over there.
You were kind of taken back that I didn't laugh harder at your.
No, I said no, not at all. I was telling Pete that here's a professional. He chuckled.
I know that.
Okay.
No, because
a couple of comics said, "What did you say, Alan?"
This is
a nice
guy. This is why I don't
guy.
watch Netflix specials. This is why I don't watch comedy specials, because I'll sit there and I'll go, I wrote that one, I did that one, I heard it, did it, heard it, should have wrote it, wish I'd written it.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
You get around long enough, you've heard everything, or you've written it yourself. Yeah. There's sometimes when they fool you, you go, oh wow, that's rare. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
Yeah,
I thought that was
especially comedy these days. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, but I see a lot of comics. You know, they only get on shows because they're popular on social media and stuff. But it's like, you know what? They got no talent. They're taking jokes from dead comedians like Drake Sather and Freddie Prinze, and it's like the audience doesn't know who these guys are. And
first of all, there's nothing new about that. Guy's doing that forever, and I remember this guy back when I first started. I go, that sounds kind of familiar. Then one time I was reading this Milton Berle joke book, and he was like pulling jokes right out Milton Berle.
Wow, Milton Berle.
Milton Berle joke book. Wow. He was like just redoing them, just kind of updating them a little bit, but they were the same joke.
Yeah. See, that's kind of ballsy. I'd rather just go up with stuff I write and hope it's funny. But
I hear you.
If it bombs, it bombs. Because then I'd be
what else? Why else are we doing it, man? Really?
Yeah. That's
really
taking someone else's
my
work.
thing.
Yeah. Well, Rich, we have a couple Twitter questions. Do you like Twitter?
Talking about social media.
You know, I have a Twitter account. I post every 6 months just to show them alive. I don't know.
Yeah, I follow you on Twitter, and the tweets I get once every 6 months, they're hilarious.
Every 6 months. Jeez.
I know. I won't get anything else done if I spend my time. I see guys, they spend all their time composing tweets, retweeting, working it. They work. I know they then go into comedy clubs that attract audiences, but I want to write other things. I don't have that much energy, man. I'm 64. I don't have that much energy.
Wow.
To tweet 20 hours.
Wow. You're 64? I didn't know that. You look really young. Like, no.
You should try it.
No, I'm serious. You look like.
No, he does look good.
Yeah.
He's a fit guy. You know, I saw. He's always been oriented toward fitness. I think that's the impression I got when I watched him.
Yeah, I'm nuts for fitness since for the last 32 years. I'm crazy about fitness.
Rich, I just want you to know, I was just checking out your face. Alan was checking out your body.
Listen, no, please don't believe.
He's the one who has red glasses.
Yeah. No. See, you can't do anything new in this town. Jesus.
Please tell me you have prescription. You're not just wearing them to be cool. You're not just wearing red to be cool.
No, actually, they're reading glasses.
Yeah.
That's
okay, because I mean, if you got them in the closeout bin,
I did.
I
did. This man is brilliant. That's exactly where I got them, in the closeout bin.
All right, Rich.
I don't have money for the lens and the frame, but here I can take these frames.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, Rich, this is from Courtney is in love with Alex. Rich, after 7 years with the release of I Am a Comic, does it still motivate you career-wise?
Absolutely, man. Look, that thing got me back into doing stand-up. It was fits and starts. It was tough, but Jordan Brady, smart guy that he is, good director he is, saw something there, like my lustful look watching these comics perform. And we're over Upright Citizens Brigade on Franklin in Hollywood.
Yeah, I love that place.
And it helped me tremendously. But I'm very grateful. But yeah, I don't want to fall back to not performing again, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was from Courtney is in love with Alex.
Thank you, Courtney, and Alex by proxy.
Yeah, it's just so weird. Like, why would you name your Twitter name that?
Those are the mysteries of life.
Because, what happens if Courtney breaks up with Alex?
She wants to keep guys like you from contacting her.
There you go. She covers herself well.
Well, this next question is: Alex isn't in love with Courtney.
Oh my God! Surely you jest. Boy, this is social media.
Perfect.
I think Rich is going to hang up the phone and be like, you know what? I love Keith Reza.
There you go.
That's good. I like it. That was good, man.
All right. Alex isn't in love with Courtney. Wants to know, Rich, is there any chance you're going to go on a writing staff on Roseanne when she comes back? That's a good question.
No, I wasn't asked. Look, I think there are like 600 former writers and producers for that show, Yeah. I wasn't asked. I didn't expect to be asked. And, it's not the same show. Look, there were when I was there writing, there were 24 guys on staff, men and women. I say always say guys generically, I get in trouble for it. But there were 24 people on staff. And that's a lot of writers. And I don't think they're going to have that kind of budget now.
Oh, yes.
I know. I'm sure they got great writers doing it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I really am.
24.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem like a lot back then.
It does. It's a lot.
Really?
I was a tremendous amount of writers.
Oh.
I don't know what they got on staff now, but I bet half a dozen is a good-sized sitcom staff now. I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
the budgets aren't the same. She was her budget was like over $1 million at one point. A show, $1 million a show.
Wow. Wow. And the budgets nowadays aren't. Yeah, you're right.
No, they don't get the ratings.
No, they don't.
They don't get the ratings. Foxworthy. I wrote on Jeff Foxworthy's show. His show was canceled with a 7 or 8, something like that.
Wow.
They be naming boulevards after him now with an 8.
Wow. That's
it's tough. 8.
I once talked to a guy who was a writer back in the late 60s and 70s. Right, he wrote on MASH, these kind of shows. He said one time there were only 3 networks. He had a show that got a 31, was canceled because it was 3rd out of 3 shows.
Wow.
31.
Yeah, that's harsh. They're not.
They renamed Los Angeles to his name.
Oh man, this advice is really making me not want to be a comedy writer anymore.
Well, don't give up.
No. I mean, there's still there's more shows out there now than ever. They just don't pay as much money because they don't get the ratings used to get. It's everything's split up in such small sections.
No, I was totally kidding because I write for a podcast. I write for a podcast, and I submit my jokes and my material, and it doesn't get picked up. It's like 1 out of every 100.
It's Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, way to name drop.
I always name drop. This is show business.
But jeez. All right.
The worst thing is when you drop a name and they go, "Who?"
Yeah, that's I know that's bad.
My names aren't as heavy as I thought.
It's like, I gotta get really better at this name dropping thing.
I better get better names. Yeah.
All right, last Twitter question. This is from Roxman101. Rich, is there any comic that started doing comedy in the 90s that has improved now? I think what they're saying
comic
is
that started in the 90s and has improved?
Yeah, I think what they're saying is because you retired and then you came back and you saw them better, like improve.
I can't remember anybody that went. No.
That's a
tough
there are
question.
people who have improved. I tell you, in my time, I'll tell you the guy who in my time, and this is my time, when I first saw Dennis Wolfberg, and you probably don't know who he is, but you can Google him and see him.
Yeah.
When I first saw him, I wasn't that impressed. I saw him in the comic strip, 79, 80, in that time when he was first starting. I was like, he didn't really impress me. He used to end his act with this singing Bye Bye American Pie, and the audience sing along. And I really wasn't impressed with Dennis that much as a stand-up comic. Really nice guy on stage, but not as a stand-up. And then back in the mid-'80s, I kind of lost touch with him. I was out on the road doing my thing, and somebody, one time, there was a club called Igby's over in West L.A., 87, 88, somewhere in there. Somebody said, man, we're going over to watch Dennis Wolfberg tonight. What? Oh, man, he is tearing it up. And I went over there, man, and he found his voice, and he found his style, and he was killing. And he got taken down early by cancer, but he was a guy that was going to break big. I mean, he just was so likable, but he found just saw somebody improve. He just found it, man.
Well, thank you, Rich, because that was a tough question, and the idea
was a tough question.
That somebody evolves suddenly, and you're looking at them one way, and then that's what's funny about stand-up. It's an organic.
Look! I'll tell you what. Here's a name you do know probably, and maybe you're the person asking the question. Bill Hicks. Hicks. He was a middle act.
Yeah.
Bill was a middle act, and he did Letterman show. He was doing straight stand-up in clubs. He knew how to do that, his drunk driving bit and stuff like that. He did stuff that were crowd-pleasing bits for comedy clubs back in the early 80s. And at some point, Bill was like, I can't do this anymore and sleep at night. We couldn't sleep anyway. Let's put it this way. I couldn't do this anymore and shave.
Sure.
Okay? Whatever it was, Bill snapped. He started working more truthfully to who he was. And I remember then seeing one time and I went, whoa, because he was middling for me, and he started doing this whole bit that we were doing. He was doing off stage about Elvis Presley and all of these stuff about preachers and all. And then he did it on stage and walked half the crowd. But I was laughing, despite the fact I was going to follow him and deal with half of the crowd because he ran half of them out. Yeah. I went, oh my God, this is something different. Where'd this come from? He's doing this.
Yeah. Well, Rich, unfortunately, the time is ticked.
Okay.
And I know you got a show in 10 minutes.
Well, that was so generous of you.
Yeah.
He's got a gig, and
thank you for calling in.
Hey, Keith, I really had a lot of fun, Alan. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Rich, is there a place the folks at home can find you?
You want to name your site?
Yeah, they can find me at richshydner.com. You can find me on Facebook. Rich Shydner, ITCHSHYDNER. Buy the book, Kicking Through the Ashes.
Beautiful.
All right, Rich. Kill it tonight, pal.
Kill it, dude.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Great guy.
That was the great Ritch Shydner, guys.
No, I was so impressed how he answered some of your really amazing Twitter, which that was a hard question.
That was a hard question.
I was almost about to chime in and say, do you need any help on that one?
Yeah,
I got me so nervous I can't even say.
That was actually a very hard question. I don't know why I chose it.
Well, I mean, he just
I think I chose it because I thought maybe it'd be interesting.
It was.
Yeah, but I guess I didn't figure how many I was thinking for example, maybe Todd Glass started in the 90s. Now he's Todd Glass.
Well, yeah.
So after I read the question, I was like, that's a fucking hard question.
Well, he mentioned Bill Hicks.
Yeah, so Bill Hicks is dead.
But he tagged it with the fact that Bill Hicks came up with authentic material that was closer to his own persona, who he was. And you and I have talked about that your new material must be you. It must be the truth. It must be who you actually are, not just the same jokes you've heard, the same type of material. Yeah. You can do the same type of material, but,
Did you know... I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go on. No.
But did you know on June 10th, 1976... Ritch Shydner did The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson?
I did.
With John Travolta? And Meredith Streep?
I don't recall him.
And Tom Cruise?
Wow, that's a lot of names.
Yep. I'm just kidding. Remember we were listening? Like,
yeah. So
I don't even know if that was the right date.
God, dude, that's like that's dishonest. That's like,
I just thought that was just so funny. I mean, not to like, you know. But
that is funny in a way.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought I was
sure
living the life.
Yeah, well,
it's like, Alan, did you know on December 12th, 1996, you were at Starbucks?
I might have been.
Yeah, it's like
that's where you're screwing with people. So that's like a mine. We don't want to. It's a mine F.
It's a mine.
Yeah, you know what a mine. My mom.
You're on the air, Alan. I think everyone heard that.
No, well, for those of you,
ladies and gentlemen, in 4 years, I got Alan Lee to curse.
Yeah, I apologize. And Mother,
must be those red glasses.
I'll just tell my mom not to listen to the last 20 minutes of this.
No, Alan, we love you. The Rifters love you.
Oh, I love you too.
Everyone on Rifters say Alan Lee.
And you know that I'm the kind of guy that no matter where I am, a checkout line at CVS, Walgreens, Ralph's, you can approach me and I'll give you an autograph.
And you'll name drop and be like, yeah, man, I just interviewed Ritch Shydner.
I'll chat with you.
See? Very complimentary on my red glasses. He doesn't tweet, so he doesn't follow me, but woo.
Thank you. That's really sweet.
That was a great show.
I loved it.
All right, guys. Well, for the folks at home, you can follow Ritch Shydner on social media. Facebook, his last name is spelled Shydner. Alan Lee, do you have anything coming up?
Well, you know, I am going to go see, we're going to go see our friend Jay Moore.
Way to name drop.
He was a guest on our show, as you remember.
Mr. Name Drop Magoo.
We will. And, you know, we've got a busy night.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we have other people coming on.
Yeah.
And we'll let you find that out.
And next week will be our last one of the season.
That's right. We're closing out the season.
And then I'm going back to school. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to try and get more comedy gigs and stuff.
Sure.
You know?
And you're writing. You're always writing.
But we do got to go. If you guys want to help the show, this is very important. If you guys want to help the show, subscribe on the iTunes at Reza Riffs. Mm-hmm. Hit, subscribe, rate, and review us, and with honest feedback.
That's wonderful. Would you please?
Yeah, because we need it.
Yeah.
And, like us on Twitter and Instagram at Reza Riffs, and our Facebook at Reza Riffs.
And we love you.
We love you. Good night. Thanks once again to Ritch Shydner, and I'm Keith Reza. Have a good night.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.